10 tips to help reduce internal business fraud. My name is Charles Piper. I'm a licensed private investigator, certified fraud examiner, and owner of Charles Piper's Professional Services. Prior to opening my company, I served over 30 years in law enforcement. Got my start in the United States Army in the Military Police Corps. Next served as a city cop, a detective, and for over 20 years as a federal agent. I've conducted investigations from coast to coast. Those investigations have identified wrongdoers, proven other facts, and resulted in the recovery of millions of dollars. The tools that investigators utilize during their investigations vary. They may include well-planned and thoroughly conducted interviews, covert surveillance with the use of cameras, legally recorded conversations, undercover activity, record searches, background checks, document review and analysis, and the collection of evidence. Every step during every investigation should be well planned and well documented. The investigator has an obligation to keep their client or employer informed of the investigative progress. I'm Charles Piper. I hope that this information and the information which follows will serve your needs. What can business owners and leaders do to help reduce internal fraud? Here are 10 tips that might help your cause. Tip number 1. Conduct pre-employment background checks. The more thorough the background check, the more it costs. But the more thorough the background check is, the more you will know about the applicant's past. Tip number 2. Conduct periodic background checks of current employees. It's totally up to the employer how often to conduct these background checks. Some say every 3 years, some say every 5 years, and some say more often than that. Just keep in mind that a lot can happen to an employee after they are hired, both on duty and off duty. Tip number 3. Create a written code of conduct and business ethics policy. A company must have written rules if it expects employees to follow them. Having written rules can allow the company to justify taking disciplinary or other action if the rules are not followed. Each and every employee should be required to certify that they have read the code of conduct and business ethics policy every single year, and a copy of that certification should be kept in each employee's personnel file, and that goes for everyone on the payroll. Tip number 4. Annual ethics and other training. Employees must be educated on ethics and other important issues so they can stay informed of what is expected of them. After the employees complete the training, have them sign a record of attendance, and you save a copy of the signature sheet. Also, save some format of the training provided so that you can prove what the employees were informed of and when they were informed of it. Tip number 5. Have a hotline or some mechanism which will allow employees to inform senior management of any fraud, waste, abuse, wrongdoing, or other concerns. If you can't afford a hotline, have a suggestion box and or an open door policy, so employees always have the opportunity to voice their concerns. To keep employee morale at its highest, do not ignore or dismiss the employees' concerns after they've voiced their complaints or suggestions. Tip number 6. Have periodic fraud risk assessments conducted by an experienced professional, perhaps a certified fraud examiner. This will help determine if there are any systemic weaknesses which may contribute to fraud, waste, or abuse in your organization. For example, are some employees living beyond their means? Do some employees refuse to take vacation? Tip number 7. Segregate duties of personnel who could easily manipulate or circumvent procedures to cause financial losses to your company, perhaps so they can personally benefit. For example, it would be unwise to have the same person in charge of both accounts payable and accounts receivable. It would also be unwise to have only one person in charge of both shipping and receiving. Tip number 8. Conduct periodic audits and reviews to check for anomalies. For example, are there any invoices getting paid twice or more? Are prices for the same goods or services suddenly drastically increasing? Is one vendor being used exclusively when others could also do the job, perhaps at less cost? Do some employees receive 2 paychecks instead of 1 without you knowing about it? Do some employees get paid who don't even exist or left the company long ago? Do some vendors have the same mailing addresses as one or more of your employees? Are shipments for goods shorted on a regular and reoccurring basis? Tip number 9. When wrongdoing is reported or suspected, have detailed, thorough, and well-documented investigations conducted by a professional investigator. Don't assume that all investigations or interviews are conducted equally. Utilize the services of a professional investigator who is qualified and experienced at providing such services. Tip number 10, no matter what, do not give the benefit of the doubt when you become aware of red flags or other indicators of wrongdoing. Just because the employee or vendor has been serving the company for a long time, or just because you want to trust certain individuals, do not close your eyes to reality. What you know or suspect might only be the tip of the iceberg. So have the matter investigated promptly. As Ronald Reagan used to say, trust, but verify. In summary, 10 tips to help reduce business fraud are: number 1, conduct pre-employment background checks. Number 2, conduct periodic background checks on current employees. Number 3, have a written code of conduct and business ethics policy. Number 4, provide annual ethics and other training. Number 5, have a hotline or similar mechanism. Number 6, conduct periodic fraud risk assessments. Number 7, segregate duties. Number 8, conduct periodic audits and reviews to check for anomalies. Number 9, have detailed, thorough, and well-documented investigations conducted by an experienced and professional investigator. Number 10, when you become aware of possible wrongdoing, do not give the benefit of the doubt no matter what. It might only be the tip of the iceberg. Remember, trust, but verify. My name's Charles Piper, owner of Charles Piper's Professional Services. I hope these tips are useful and will benefit you and or your business. Information about my company, as well as my contact information, will be provided next. Thanks for watching, and I wish you the best of luck.